Always choose to talk.
We ask the questions.
What is needed in the world?
Is that going to
Bujar Nishani odnedavno je predsjednik Republike Albanije. Uprkos savjetima sa zapada, nije izabran širokim nacionalnim konsenzusom, već prostom većinom u državnoj skupštini. Nakon studija u Tirani, karijeru je započeo krajem 80-ih kao predavač na Vojnoj akademiji. U politici je od pada komunizma u zemlji početkom 90-ih. Bio je na nekoliko važnih funkcija i član Demokratske partije dugogodišnjeg albanskog lidera Salija Beriše. Sredinom 90-ih bio je na postdiplomskim studijama u Sjedinjenim državama. Predsjednička funkcija zatekla ga je na dužnosti ministra unutrašnjih poslova. Dao je ostavku. Intervju Al Jazeeri dao je u albanskom predsjedništvu, neposredno pred proslavu 100-godišnjice nezavisnosti Albanije. Oženjen je i ima 2 dece. Veliki pozdrav iz Tirane. Dobrodošli u program Al Jazeere. U povodu 100-godišnjice nezavisnosti Albanije razgovaramo sa predsjednikom Republike Albanije, gospodinom Bujarom Nishanijem. Mr. President, thank you so much for devoting your time to Al Jazeera viewers and welcome to Al Jazeera program.
It's my pleasure and welcome to Albania.
Thank you so much. My first question will be, and let me start with this. You are more than 2 decades in the Albanian politics. However, you are also an American student. So, did you ever find out why there are so many American students in the Balkan high politics?
It is true that Albania opened to the West. During this time, even because Albania used to be a terrible closed country, terrible isolated country from everybody, from everywhere. And during this time, all the friends and partners of Albania offered their readiness and will to assist Albanian society to consolidate a new political system, such was the democracy, and to set up the new institutions based on the democratic principles. And for that was needed very much to be and to have educated people with a new mentality and with a new style of thinking, with a new style of behavior. So all friends of Albania offered their readiness, as I mentioned, and possibilities. Using this chance, lots of Albanians intellectuals and employees on public and private sectors used such moments and possibilities to go and to study in different parts of different universities of the West countries. The United States was a very closed and very friendly country, offered such possibilities for Albanian people, and I was one of them who had the chance to go for postgraduate study to the United States, to California exactly, and for some period of time to Washington. It was a great experience. It was a great experience, and I think it was a chance, a possibility that myself and the others used for themselves, but even for our institutions, to bring here to Albania this way of working and providing the principles, the way and procedures which were characteristic of the Western countries and Western democracies. So it was a good chance for us.
Albania celebrates a century of independence. What is the most important historical moment in the last century for Albania?
The main effort and all the sacrifices that Albanians have done for centuries has been focused to the freedom and security. So accession to NATO which means for Albanian freedom, security, stability, is absolutely the biggest achievement after the independence of Albania as a country. Being a member of NATO, of course, it's a case for contribution, even by the Albanian as a country, in framework of the organization and allies. But at the same time, is a kind of a very strong guarantee for Albania itself in terms of security, freedom, and stability. So we see this moment as a very, very important moment for us.
Was your country affected by the numerous wars in the surroundings, by ethnic divisions, by the tensions in the surrounding countries?
Very frankly speaking, and it's the truth that the history of the Albania and our past has been a difficult one. Has been sometimes lots of sacrifices, and in many cases, Albanian fought to survive, even from divisions and from ethnic cleaning processes. We never forget the past, but we are focused only to our future, because we deeply believe that the only way for Albanian and for other countries is to be focused and to work together to the future, to be decided on walking on the path which bring us, I mean, all the nations of this peninsula, I mean the Balkans, close to each other, bring us to possibility for development, I mean, in terms of democracy, institution functioning, and economic prosperity.
Can you describe for us in a few sentences how was it to live in that kind of country, like Albania was before the changes?
It was terrible for Albania. I guess difficult to understand by the foreigners. It was completely a stupid thing when we were isolated ourselves from everybody, and it was completely and totally a responsibility and the fault of Albanian on this time, of course, that the regime was a terrible one, awful one, when the people were sent to the prison only because they tried to think differently, where the people killed only because they tried to ask the regime for opening this country and to communicate with the others and to integrate the cultures of with the other nations and the other countries. But they were just sent to prison or killed even because they asked for free movement of the people, for private economy, for free economy. So it was completely difficult to understand for the foreigners, as I mentioned, but it was terrible for Albanians themselves. But thanks God, and thanks the efforts of the Albanians, but above all, even the assistance of our friends, and the circumstances of the time, of course, we cannot ignore the circumstances of this time. Finally, this regime collapsed, and Albania as a country entered on the new way, on the new path.
So do you think that the process of changing borders in the region is over for this and for the next generation, or we shall see more conflicts here?
I deeply believe that it is over. And it's going to be danger if we will open these discussions or procedures. Because as I mentioned, the history of this peninsula, Balkan, is a difficult one, is very, let's say, lots of conflicts and wars, which brought only the bad things to all nations. Opening a discussion for new design of the borders will create some very dangerous situations in some countries in this region. So I deeply believe that this time has passed, it's over, and we have to respect the borders that we have nowadays in our region.
So how to conciliate the desire of Albanians, for example, from Kosovo and Montenegro and Macedonia, not to be far away from Tirana then, if we do not change the borders?
It's a reality nowadays that the free movement of the people, free movement of the goods, is absolutely a reality. There is no any kind of obstacle or difficulty. For example, for a citizen, Albanian or not Albanian from Kosovo, to move from Pristina or from Jakova or from Prizren to come to any city of Albania, and vice versa. Any citizen of Albania to go to any city of the Kosovo or the others. So the people can move freely, and the goods can move freely. So I think that this is the main principle of the freedom. If the human being and the goods have all the possibility to move freely and to exchange, that is the base of the freedom and staying close to each other. That's it.
You're probably familiar with the projects called Greater Serbia, Greater Bulgaria, Croatia to the Drina River, United Macedonia. What would you say to those people who are afraid of the project called Greater Albania? And it is something that is very often used in the daily politics all over the region.
Unfortunately, I think that these ideas have been used by some politicians to justify their political decisions and acts. But thanks God, these ideas have been discouraged by the time and history. Nowadays, each country and each nation is free in this peninsula, and we have to respect each other. We have to respect the rights of each other. We have to respect the culture of each other. We have to create a very trust and good understanding environment among each other. So there is no place for being bigger or smaller. The only room and the only place is to cooperate and to live together. So this is the idea and the belief for us as Albanians.
So if the world circumstances change and the world is for example, uniting of Kosovo and Albania, would you be against that?
The circumstances, which mean the behavior of societies and the behavior of the actors of the societies, are focused day after day much more to something else, to be together than to be divided, to cooperate than to fight each other. So I deeply believe on the circumstances that we are consolidated day after day. European integration is the most important factor which consolidates this kind of behavior and this kind of reality, even for the Balkans and for the countries.
So the borders are firm?
I believe on that.
Official Tirana was always strongly supporting the independence of Kosovo, even in the end of 80s and the beginning of 90s, when no one was strongly supported independence of Kosovo. And we got a declaration of independence a couple of years ago, but did Albania and Kosovo use the much of it, the potential of it? Yes, the highway was built, but where is the real economy? Where is the real benefit?
Talking about the independence of Kosovo, it's first of all achievement on respecting the principles of freedom for the people of Kosovo. Secondly, it's achievement for peace and stability in the region. It's an achievement for respecting the self-determination for the people. in one country, for a part of nation in our peninsula. It's a possibility to feel free and to be focused on that you mentioned, contribution for development of the economy. So, because if you do not feel yourself free, it's hard to think about the economy. If you do not feel free, it's hard to think about the cultural integration. So, in that reality, the relation between Kosovo and Albania in the infrastructure term or economical term, of course, is a question which serve the economies of both countries, but beyond that. You mentioned the highway, and the highway is a possibility, is a mechanism serving the economy of Albania, serving the economy of Kosovo, but serving even the economy of other countries, like Serbia or Bulgaria on the others. Because having a network, a consolidated network of communication and transport among all countries, it's a possibility for our societies, for our economies, for our businesses. And we do not see the cooperation in economic terms between Albania and Kosovo as an isolated one from the other relations with other countries. No. We see it as a network on the economic relations. Albania has a chance to have a very long coast. And our harbor may use by all countries on the region to transport their goods and their businesses to use it. So helping on such investments on the infrastructure, on highways and things like that, we create all the possibilities for economies of all countries in this region, because our region is lucky to be a kind of bridge, to be a kind of crossroad between Europe and near Asia.
I'm sorry, but it's not always that bright, as you say, because we sometimes read about problems between Pristina and Tirana sometimes. You can see that there were even tariff barriers. Would you say that this saying is correct? When it comes to the money, the brotherhood is threatened. Do you first go for your own interest as a country and then as a part of the region?
Look,
when it comes to Kosovo-Albania relationship.
When we talk about the freedom, when we talk about the free economy, we have to account even the real behavior based on the business interests. The business is a business. And of course, all, let's say, the companies and individuals and groups which are involved in business, they have to promote and to work based on the motto win-win. So we, as institutions, as a country, in terms of public institutions, have a responsibility to offer and to create a normal and positive environment. And the private businesses, private companies, to have possibility to use this environment. But of course, the rules have to be respected. Otherwise, we cannot orient or command the private businesses. We cannot, in the same time, ignore the rules. Otherwise, we will go to the chaos. So, respecting the rules, respecting the procedures, means respecting themselves. Means respecting ourselves. So the neighboring and motherhoods, let's say, and the relations are absolutely some important thing, but the free economy must be respected in full rules and criteria.
I was here a couple of years ago for the first time, and then I returned this summer. Some parts of your country have changed beyond recognition. How did you succeed in your process to rebuild after communism and to develop to that extent?
It has been not easy, but the base is freedom. If you have freedom, you may change everything, and you can achieve everything on that. Albanian people suffered so much in the past, and they were so thirsty, let's say, for working for themselves, working for their family, working for their life, for their prosperity. And in fact, we have designed and implemented some strategy dealing with development. We try to use in efficient way our resources. Albania is a small country, but we have some rich resources, especially on energy, in agriculture, in tourism. And one of the main part of our strategy has been to invest on infrastructure, because our legacy by the communist regime in terms of infrastructure was a very poor one. And let's say a big part of our budget have been focused investing on the infrastructure. So we started since 7 or 8 years ago, a policy for reducing so much expenditures, I mean public expenditures, in terms of public administration and in other expenditures of the public institutions, and focused much more money on the investment, like infrastructure, construction, hydropower, energy plants, in our agriculture, financing our farmers, encouraging them to develop the agriculture on their lands. So nowadays we are using our budget focused on some priorities and not spending much more money to the public expenditure. We are focused our money on much more on the education and in our healthcare than, for example, to create some luxury for public administration. So I think that the outcomes based on this policy has helped us so much.
And when you talk about Albania here in the region, many people would think that Albania is only a Muslim country. Many people do not know that there are large and important Orthodox and Catholic communities here. How come did you succeed in your desire not to be religiously divided? I mean, it is very important to be a member of a religious community, but is it more important to be an Albanian?
Yes. In fact, in all our history, the motto of Albanian has been to be Albanian is much more important than everything. It is true that we have different religion communities here. We have Muslim community, we have Orthodox community, we have Catholics. In the same time, the best value of this society is the tolerance among the religion communities. Albania just a month ago concluded its presidency of the Council of Europe. And during our presidency in the Council of Europe, we tried to promote even some values from the Albanian community, from the Albanian mentality. And the motto of our presidency was united in our diversity. And one of the values which we'd like to promote is absolutely even the religion tolerance and the religion harmony. You can very frequently can see in Albania a Muslim get married with Orthodox or Catholics and vice versa. So in Albanian, we fully respect the religion of each other. Even in Albania, the Muslims celebrate the Christmas, and the Catholics celebrate the Ramadan. So it's a value which means respecting each other, respecting beliefs of each other.
And my final question for this interview will be related to your cabinet. One of the members of your cabinet is also a member of the Albanian royal family, and it is a grandson of the late Albanian king. His name is Prince Leka II. How come Albania is a republic and yet you have Albanian royal in your cabinet?
There is no any debate or any procedure in Albania for changing our political system in our country. Of course, that Prince Leka II is part of royal family, and being part of the cabinet of the president means respecting a group of population who would like to respect this epoch of our history. And I deeply believe that a representative of the royal family may contribute much more than everywhere in the presidency for the nation, for the principles of Albanian nation, which, as I mentioned in our interview, are peace, cooperation, stability. So I welcome any kind of contribution on that direction. And Prince Leka II is doing the best to contribute for his country, even because he represents also in the same time a very important and positive time of our history.
Mr. President, thank you very much for your time.
It was my pleasure.
We ask the questions.
What is needed in the world?
Is that going to be